Hi, this is Julia from the Macedon Public Library, and I'm coming to you again with a couple more book recommendations. This is for grades 3 through 5. And today I have one fiction book and I have two nonfiction books that I'm going to recommend. They all kind of go together. So to begin with, this is one of our newer books. I see the new books as they come in, and that's when I kind of think, ooh, I want to read this. And then if I like it, it's like, oh, I want to share this. So this is the newest one that I read. It's called Kanga. The author is Nnedi Okorafor. It's a lot of glare on that screen. So she's written. This is the author. Actually, I can show you. There's the author's picture. We have several of her books in teen fiction, but she's breaking out into other levels of reading as well. And so I was drawn to the book. I've done one of my earlier book recommendations. I talked about some stories that are written from children from an African perspective. And so that is where this is taking place in a modern day Nigeria, which is a country in Africa. And so that drew me to it because I've done some recently. And then the blurb that was on the inside cover, I found really interesting. I'm going to share that with you. It says, what will he do with his superpower? So again, that's the cover. So here's the boy, and he's holding, you can kind of see he's holding a statue. What will he do with his superpowers? When Nnamdi's father, the police chief of Calaria, is murdered, Nnamdi vows to avenge his death. But a year later, he's not found a way to take on the chief of chiefs, the powerful criminal he believes is responsible. Wondering what a 12-year-old boy can do, he dreams of being all-powerful like the superheroes he loves to read about. Then one night, a mysterious meeting changes his life forever. He receives the gift of the Kanga, a magical object that enables superpowers, and he is charged to use those powers for good. Now he may have a way to fulfill his mission, provided he can learn to control his newfound powers. Set in contemporary Nigeria, Kanga introduces middle grade readers to the astonishing imagination and spellbinding storytelling of Nnedi Okorafor, winner of the Hugo, Locus, Lodestar, and World Fantasy Awards. So the author has received many awards, Hugo's for science fiction, and I really enjoy science fiction, so I was familiar with the author already. So this is something that she's written, for I think it says ages 10 and up. And it doesn't have a reading level associated with it yet, or I haven't checked this month, so it might by now. So I like the idea of magic working in our real world. I think I've touched on that before in the books that I've recommended. So this was interesting. And Nnamdi is the boy's name. It's Nnamdi. Again, this is Nigerian, so it's a little different culture than we have. There's a lot of bad things going on in his world, in his town of Calaria. His father's death is at the very beginning of the story. His father is murdered. His hometown has a lot of crime. It affects his life, his mother's life. She's robbed on the way coming home one day. His friends, and in the story, one of his friends is even kidnapped. So I mean, really, really not nice things are happening in his town. And he wants to be like his father. His father was the chief of police, and he wants to be a force for good, and he wants to get the criminals locked up in jail and things like that. So he wants to do that. He wants to get rid of the criminals and see that they're punished for the way that they hurt everyone else in the community. But he's just a 12-year-old boy, so what can he really do that the chief of police couldn't do? But when he is gifted, he's given the statue, this Kanga, which is made of clay, he gets the power to become a large and shadowy man. They just call him the man. And he's so dark, it's hard to see him, to really see exactly where he is. And he has the strength and speed of a superhero. He compares himself to the Hulk, which is one of his favorite superheroes that he likes to read about in comic books. But he has to learn how to control the power. He has to learn how to control his anger. Obviously, there's all these bad things happening around him, and he wants to stop them. So he's very angry about it, but he has to learn control so he can really do something. And because it's a good book, he does learn how to do those things. It's very interesting. He also has to find out who really killed his father, what happened, and make sure that people come to justice. So in reading the book, again, I wanted to know a little bit more about the culture. And so I did some research. I found we have an older nonfiction book of Nigeria. I think this one is published in 1999. So it's 20 years old. It's not really up to date. But in here it talks about the kinds of food that's eaten in Nigeria, kind of how they live, what their money is like, and common words. There's a picture of a walled compound. He talks about the house that he lives in with his mother, and it's a walled compound. And there actually is like a gatekeeper that lets people in if there aren't family members, that sort of thing. So there's a little bit of security that way. But again, it's all like dirt walls, mud, sort of thing. Talks about food and clothes, animals, sports. There's a picture of the money. Oh, and then at the end, it does have some like common words. Yoruban is a language that they speak there. OT means no, and that's used in the book. And I think Oshe, sorry, is thank you. So this is kind of interesting. This is a very short book, but it gives you kind of a little bit of a background. Of the country of Nigeria. What really got me thinking about this and wanting to learn a little bit more is one of the scenes in the book. He and his friend, so Nnamdi and his friend, are they're getting to this chief of chiefs, the ultimate bad guy, who they think is the one who murdered his dad, in a party, and so they kind of hide as servants that are like walking around with trays of food for the guests and things, because the chief of chiefs has a lot of money. And they talk about chin chin, and they're huge heaping trays of chin chin that people would just grab and snack from while they walked around. Like, what is chin chin? I had no idea, and it didn't really give much of a context in the novel in Kanga. So I went online and I looked it up, and so that got me thinking about food. So chin chin, I haven't made it yet, and I haven't found. We don't have anything in our library that has it, but I found a couple of different recipes. But I'll see if I can kind of show you the picture. It's like deep fried dough, so it's kind of like a donut or something like that. It gets really crispy on the outside though, because they're smaller. There's no yeast involved. But it's sweet, so it has some sugar, and it also has a little bit of nutmeg and a lot of butter. And I like butter. So I think I'm going to try and make this sometime. I don't know, just to see what chin chin is like, but it does sound really good. But I did find in our library we have several cookbooks specifically for kids in mind. So this one is talking about global feast, so it's recipes for all over the world. And while it doesn't have a recipe for anything in Nigeria, it has a recipe for sweet potato cookies. They call them sweet potato cookies from Zimbabwe, which is another country in Africa. So Nigeria is kind of up around more in the top section along the coast, and Zimbabwe is down more towards the bottom part of Africa. But anyway, in here, sweet potato cookies. In the story, they do talk about yams a lot. So sweet potatoes are kind of what we have in North America that are similar to yams. They're easier to grow here. And so this is making cookies using sweet potatoes as part of you mix it in with flour and baking soda and baking powder, and of course sugar, because they're cookies. So that looks interesting too. So if you're interested in any kind of cooking and learning about other places in the world, or just, we also have like a kids beginner baking book that just came in that's new. So that's something you might want to check. That the cooking class Global Feast is by Deanna Cook. Her last name is Cook, believe it or not. The book also talks about mangoes, specifically with a nearby town that they go to visit. I think that was part of where they found the people who had been kidnapped, where they have lots of mangoes, and talk about huge and juicy, and mangoes are really good. If you've never tried one, you ask to see if you can get a mango sometime. They're really good fresh. They're also really good in smoothies. So if you like smoothies, especially with some yogurt in there, it's really good. And I think I will leave it there. So I want to recommend Kanga. I'm gonna guess maybe like fourth grade, in the fourth grade reading level-ish. It does deal with some heavy topics like murder and criminals. Um, it's not graphic. It's not it's not bloody or anything, but it can be a little disturbing. But I think the seeing the character as a 12-year-old boy has to deal with these big issues and how he learns how he can be part of the solution to the problem. So I really recommend it, and I hope you can give it a try. And I'll be back again next month with some more books. All right, thanks so much. Bye.